and welcome to Autistically Unapologetic, the unfiltered and unmasked podcast about everything autism. Here's your host, Devin Morrissey.
Hi, and welcome to Autistically Unapologetic with me, Devin Morrissey. I would like to officially welcome you all to the official Season 2 kickoff of Autistically Unapologetic. To be honest, I can't even begin to describe how excited I am that I am starting a new season of this podcast. When I first started doing this podcast 2 years ago, I would have never imagined how much I would fall in love doing this, let alone hearing your reaction to this podcast. Now that I am 25 episodes in over the last 2 years, I've talked a lot of things that are related to autism, from hobbies and special interests to stories from other autistic individuals. I've spoken to several people across various industries such as the music industry, the beauty industry, the film industry, and so much more. I have had very meaningful discussions of how autistic people are trying to change the narrative of how to live meaningful and independent lives. I have had the opportunity to interview countless of my friends and my fellow castmates from a little show called Love on the Spectrum, both here in the United States and in Australia, and to speak with other autistic people that have had their own successes in the entertainment industry, such as influencers, singers and actors from the shows American Idol and Atypical, and performers from the groundbreaking historic Broadway musical How to Dance in Ohio. As I kick off Season 2, I am so excited for what is to come this season. I'm getting a chance to interview more special guests and talk about topics that haven't been discussed yet, or share stories about people that haven't been on this podcast yet. I really wanted to take this moment, however, to give you all a life update on myself. Now, I've pretty much spent this entire last season talking to other people sharing their life stories. I've also had the opportunity to hear other inspiring stories from various autistic people or people that work with autistic people. However, with that being said, I never really have had the chance to give you all that honest life update about what I've been up to since doing this podcast. And as I head into a new season, I thought that it is more important than ever to be transparent and honest with you all as your podcast host. Now, a lot of you may have noticed that over the course of this summer, I have not interviewed as many guests on my podcast that I am used to. The honest truth is that there are a lot of factors to the reason why I wanted a break from the podcast for this summer, and I'm going to share with you two of those reasons right now. First off, this podcast is a freelance part-time job that I do on my own in my free time, and I'm actually not getting paid for this podcast. However, I would like to reiterate that the money in this situation does not matter to me. What matters to me is that I'm getting the word out about autism and really increasing the importance of autism awareness and also autism acceptance through the individuals that I speak to. This may come as a surprise to some of you, but I actually work a regular 9-to-5 full-time job just like everyone else. I work as a recruitment and communications coordinator for a career consulting firm, and I have to tell you, I absolutely love what I do for my job. A lot of people on the spectrum, and actually with any disability, have been told that they are not capable of holding any regular job aside from working in a grocery store or in the back of a warehouse with stocking, with shelving, with the sales, with the cash register. I literally could go on and on. Even with the Americans with Disabilities Act that was signed in 1990 clearly states that, quote, employers cannot discriminate against a qualified individual with a disability in any aspect of employment, from hiring to firing. A lot of companies, clients, and employers find loopholes, sadly, that will prevent disabled adults from getting employment. Accommodations, for example, are known to help autistic people perform their duties at work, but there are employers out there who believe that if a disabled person is getting X, Y, and Z accommodations, that is going to give that disabled person a one-up over all the other employees at the workplace. However, what the employers who believe this don't realize that the accommodations that we disabled folk are given are actually going to put us on the same playing field as everyone else. It really is a dog eat dog world out there. And for a disabled person trying to find a job, it can be 10 times, if not 100 times tougher than the regular and average neurotypical person. So I have a brief message to any employer out there. If someone that is applying for your company or your organization has a disability and they fit the job description and they have the right qualifications, then hire them. If they need accommodations, please honor their needs and make sure that those accommodations are met, because those accommodations will only help that neurodiverse individual thrive and flourish in the workplace. They are set up for an actual reason. Now, work has been extremely busy for me right now as a result of a variety of different neurodiverse individuals needing my help to find meaningful and long-lasting employment. And that's one of the reasons why I actually took a step back from this podcast this summer, so I could put my career of helping others to the forefront. I never want to get complacent at work, and I don't want to feel like I'm too comfortable. When you push yourself to get better at work and on the job, your possibilities and your opportunities can only grow and blossom from there. Now, another factor that I wanted to update you all on is the topic of mental health. A lot of people, especially in the autism community, do not talk about mental health, especially straight men like myself. After being diagnosed at the age of 3, I actually found out about my autism diagnosis at 12 years old, just as I was going into middle school. And I'm not going to lie to you all, I went through a lot growing up. I was bullied, I was harassed, I was being antagonized, I was being taken advantage of, you name it. As much as I am in a much better place now compared to where I was all those years ago, I have masked so very greatly and deeply as a result. And I have internalized a lot from the trauma that I dealt with growing up. I know for a fact that due to statistics that I am not alone. Research has shown that nearly 78% of autistic children and a significant portion of autistic adults deal with mental health issues such as anxiety and depression, both of which I battle and deal with. Now, the last 2 years have been very hard on me for various reasons that I'm not going to go into right now. And as a result, a lot of internal trauma and childhood memories that I have repressed for years ended up coming back again. I have always been the person who lets things just slide and not let it bother him at all. But I have realized in recent months that it's just not healthy to internalize trauma or situations that are bothering you or having a profound negative effect on you. As a result, I have gone back into therapy over the summer to work on myself and to get the help that I need. Now, I want to reiterate, when you hear the word therapy, there's absolutely 100,000% nothing wrong with going to therapy. Going to therapy is a huge sign of strength and inner power, and I've realized that profoundly over the last few months. What I've learned from going back to therapy is that if I'm feeling something that I may not be comfortable with, or if I'm put in a situation that I find threatening to my own well-being, I can't swipe my feelings under the rug anymore. I needed to find ways to release negative energy, so over this year, I've actually started journaling for the first time again in a very, very long time. One of my dearest best friends from high school got my other dearest best friend from high school and I matching journals, and I've taken the initiative to write almost every day about anything that is on my mind or anything that I need to get off my chest. There are days when I write down motivational quotes and inspirational quotes that help release the negative vibes I may be feeling. And there have actually been some good quotes that have helped me to get back on the bandwagon of life at times when I fall off. One quote that I've written down says this, quote, "You are not behind. It's not too late. You are exactly where you need to be right now. Every step that you have taken has been necessary, so give yourself credit rather than berating yourself for how long your journey is taking. We all need to travel at our own distance." End quote. So what this quote basically means is that there is no need to put unnecessary pressure on yourself to be this perfect person that sometimes the world is expecting you to be. We as humans, and especially in the autism and neurodiverse communities, can tend to push ourselves beyond extreme limits to try to be on the same playing field or even a step higher than everyone else. So in other words, we're not only expected to compete with each other, but also with ourselves. I have noticed this firsthand throughout the last few years, and something that I have taken away very greatly is that in this moment, right here and right now, I'm truly where I need to be. I'm surrounded by great people. I'm in a safe space. I am working hard, and I'm seeing my hard work pay off in more ways than one. Yes, I know that many of you know me as the person that says, cheers to us autistic people going through leaps and bounds, now possibly finding love on a very popular Netflix TV show. But there's beyond more to me than what you see on TV. What you see on a TV show is only a snippet of what actually goes on in real life outside of TV cameras and behind the scenes, as I have learned that over the last few years. This quote is a reminder of I don't need to be anywhere else except right here in this moment, just enjoying and cherishing each moment while I look and work towards my future. So by doing the simple things from journaling to going to therapy, I've seen a huge positive change in my mental health. Even though I'm always going to be battling with my mental health every now and then for the rest of my life, I do strongly believe that mental health is super important and not something to diminish. If I can talk about it here on this podcast, I know to whoever is listening can talk about it as well. So those factors of my work and my mental health, along with other reasons that I'm not going to share right now, were why I have stepped back in doing this podcast over the summer. But now I am more fired up than ever before, even more so when I started this podcast back in July of 2023. I've already taped some episodes for this new season, and I am so excited for you all to hear these wonderful, impactful, and very meaningful conversations with these inspiring individuals that are changing the game of autism in terms of special interest, balancing out life, and much more. I'm going to be trying some new ideas and some new content out on the podcast this season, which I truly hope that you will like. As I talked about before, I never want to get complacent, especially with this podcast. And especially when I know that there's a lot of you out there that have tuned into my podcast since day one and have continued to stick around for the conversations I've been having each episode with my special guests. Going into this season, I am excited to welcome in new faces and hear of their life stories. And there could be a strong possibility that maybe one or two guests from last season will come back this season for another conversation about what's been going on since their first episode on Autistically Unapologetic. What you all should expect from this season, especially with the episodes that are already taped and are going to be dropping sooner than you think, is that there's a lot of heartfelt conversations and a lot of passion in these conversations. It's called the spectrum for a reason, because everyone's autism is different, which means everyone's life story is different and everyone's journey is different. I hope you guys are ready for a fun ride this season, as I am prepared to pull out all the stops and continuing the conversation about anything and everything related to autism. I thank you all so much for tuning in to the season 2 launch of season 2 of Autistically Unapologetic. And I am so excited for you all to hear these conversations that I will be getting into this season. Now, if you like what you heard on this episode and want to hear other episodes or stay tuned for future episodes this upcoming season, please sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'm Devin Morrissey, and I'll see you next time right here on Autistically Unapologetic.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Autistically Unapologetic with Devin Morrissey. If you like what you hear and you want to see more, don't forget to rate and subscribe to stay tuned for future episodes. Again, thanks for listening.